Isolation. Something can do many things to many different people, regardless of the setting. It could take a good person so good and pure heart that even Jesus Christ himself says, I wish I could be half the man I used to be half the man that you are, half the man you used to be. Wish I could be as good as you. He just wishes that he could be as good as this good-hearted person. And that good-hearted person could be turned so bad that even the devil who's just playing his fiddle, the devil's hands are idle playthings, should say, I just want to play my fiddle, please don't come, you're so bad, you make me seem like a saint by comparison. No! It could also turn a mind so sound, so reasonable, able to understand anything, able to understand math, able to understand any situation, and logically break it down, and turn it so sour that not even any level of, antitoxins could take away how toxic, how sour this mind is. And above all else, it could take the toughest individual on the face of the earth. Doesn't matter what this person does. Doesn't matter. They could carry 50 people on their back out of a burning building and continue to do that, evacuate an entire apartment building and not even break a sweat. They could throw a piece of a continent that is suddenly on fire to cool it off. I don't even know how that would actually work. Basically, Atlas would shrug at the strength and the toughness of this individual. He could take that tough individual and bring them to their very knees. Bunker was directed by Adrian Langley, who's done shorts as well as movies like Crook, Ash and Dust, Butchers, as well as various Christmas TV movies. Check out his IMDb page for the full listing, and was written by Michael Huntsman. In his feature credit, not to be confused with Snow White and the Huntsman, because that was a movie with Charlize Theron. I would, and you would too, sweet Jesus. Charlize Theron is not in this movie. Let's talk about this. Michael Huntsman is an actual living, breathing person. And this takes place during World War I with a few soldiers, apparently from, completely different battalions. And they are together. There's a general, there's a medic, there's a radio guy. Oh, radio, let me tell me everything you know. Zack Ryder was not in this, or Matt Cardona. That would have been hilarious. And basically, they end up hearing that the Germans have evacuated. They've tucked tail and ran, and we never saw the Germans in a world war again. Oh, right. So they decide we're going to go to their bunker. We're going to go and invade that, and it's sealed from the outside. What the hell's going on? So they unseal it, because that's what you do when you see something sealed that you probably shouldn't go near. Yeah, just go there. Just go there and do that. That's a perfect idea. Nothing bad ever happens in a horror war movie, with that. Well, let's just say after they get down the tunnel a little bit, you find running electricity rations. Oh, yeah, and there's some guy seemingly indisposed, shall we say. I'll get into that in the spoiler section. And they try to find answers, and they try to discover what the hell's going on. Then they end up finding themselves trapped in the bunker after a bombing, and then isolation and paranoia and a whole bunch of stuff, and craziness starts to happen. Is it all in their head? Are they happy? Are they feeling bad? Did they got sunshine in a bag? They're useless, but not for long. The funk in this bunker is getting strong. And then they have to get answers from the, the indisposed German man, and basically solve this mystery before they are bunker history. Bunker tales, woohoo. Okay, so yeah. This movie, and a little bit of a backstory, this movie just popped up in a couple theaters nearby, including the one about 6 miles from my house that I used to work at. And I thought, okay, let's see. I don't know anything about this. Read the plot description. Okay, that sounds fine. Haven't seen a trailer, haven't seen a clip. It's rare. The last time that happened was with that Uma movie. There will be some comparisons here in a little bit, don't worry. But I'm like, all right, haven't had a chance, let me give it a shot. And it definitely is an indie horror movie that tries to make the most of its limited setting, its limited cast, and its limited resources. I do, however, want to praise a few things. The makeup effects actually are pretty well done. Pretty good makeup effects, pretty good violence effects. And the crew did a really good job with that. The feelings of isolation are a good theme for a movie, such as this, especially one that can, create that sense of claustrophobia and everything, and you feel like your fellow man may turn on you at any point. Unfortunately, this movie reminded me of a few things. It reminded me of Overlord, with about 1/100th of the budget, and it seemed like every single character, and I'm not saying the actors, but every single character sustained about 18 multiple 18 on top of 18 on top of 18, multiple head injuries to the point they should have been drooling goddamn vegetables. And in fact, that's pretty much what the characters came across as. And I'm just going to say right now that while there was a neat little idea here, and I give credit for everybody for trying, and again, the makeup effects are pretty good, and there's a neat little idea here, this movie sucked. This movie was bad. This was really, 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 really bad. I'm not just shocked this got released in theaters, but whatever, it is what it is. Good on them. It got released in theaters. There are micro-budget movies that get released in theaters and find a following. Skinamarink was a lot more a lot more ambitious than this, let's just say, even though that movie had its problems. This, basically, from the word go, I could tell that there were going to be problems with them. I'm like, all right, you know what? Isolation horror isn't the worst thing. This movie looks like it was produced in someone's backyard. I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to try to dump on everybody too much, but I can't ignore what I saw with my eyes. The writing, such as it is, Michael Huntsman seems like he has a good idea here and tries to give the character some backstory. Just the movie is such a hodgepodge of ideas and everything, and you can see everything coming a mile away. I mean, predictability is not the worst thing in the world, but good God, the fact that none of these soldiers could figure out any of this and like maybe, hey, we shouldn't be here. Let's get out of here before we get bombed back to the goddamn Stone Age. Or let's just get out of here because this is a fucked up situation going on. Nobody thinks to do that. Granted, we wouldn't have a horror movie, but we just end up with a bunch of idiotic characters that it's not even the actor's fault. It's not even that. They do the best they can. They have about that much material. This would have worked better as a short movie. This was an hour and 48 minutes long with enough material for 50? Maybe? There were a few moments where I'm like, okay, wow, the makeup effects are actually pretty good. They did a good job in ingenuity right there. And then they did this, and it turned out to just be a mess, an amalgamation of just a bunch of messy stuff, Human Centipede together, and was overly long, not even overly dramatic, because there was no drama, there was no tension, there was really no horror, except for the fact that, again, this movie got released in theaters. I'm not just shocked this got released in theaters. I'm shocked this got released. Because I'm looking at this and I'm just baffled by, micro-budget or not, how god-awful this is. And incomprehensible yet simple at the same time. Maybe it's just it was badly edited by whatever studio released it. The credits sort of reminded me of, like, we were going back, to war films of before, and we were doing something like we had a map thing, we had some credits, fancy font and everything. I thought we were going medieval with the way they wrote that stuff, but no swashbuckling World War I people, more in the pity. No, we just got a group of soldiers, and again, nobody that I've really seen in any movies before. Now, I'm not saying they haven't been in anything, but you have, like, Kurt, Luke Baines, who was the German guy that kind of reminded me of Spike from Buffy, if basically Spike was a darker-haired individual. And then they attempt to have a pseudo-hero, but they make the hero seem like they make everybody seem like idiots in this. And the movie repeats itself constantly with how it'll do stuff. It'll fake out, and then people will go nuts, but then they'll be fine, and then they'll go nuts, and then they'll go nuts over here, and then they'll do this. And yeah, the isolation aspect could have worked, but this movie didn't work. This movie didn't work at all. And they have these, one guy kind of goes a little bit nuts thinking that, there's something going on in this bunker. Well, yeah, no shit. We kind of figured that out, pal. Kind of figured that out. Nobody in the movie did because they're all idiots. I swear that everybody in this movie, character-wise, they must have just been given the bare bones and everything, because the screenplay probably had some good ideas, and then they just said, shit, we can only hack this out in a goddamn weekend or maybe a week, so let's just do that. So at one point, somebody said the Major General, a very model of modern Major General, is information animal and vegetable and mineral, and I assure you I know the rest of the lyrics if I bother to really care. And then there's cryptic stuff and other buzzwords, and they're trying to get there's a voice on a radio that clearly has great intentions, absolutely great intentions. And the thing is, it does remind me of Overlord a lot, and I hated Overlord. I really hated Overlord. And I'm sorry, but I hated Bunker. And I didn't want to hate it because at first I'm like, okay, low budget isn't the worst thing in the world. No, I ended up hating this. I flat out hated this. I'm not saying don't watch it because other people could feel differently about this. There was a good idea here, and there are some good makeup effects, and there are a few things that you can praise or at least say good things about. But by and large, it's like 90 to 95%. Holy shit, this is just an incomprehensible mess. This is really, really bad. This is really, really, really goddamn bad. That limps and crawls and drags its ass to a goddamn conclusion on its bloody stunts because the legs got shot off and it's trying to cross the finish line. Then the arm gets shot off, so now it's using its tongue to go across the dirt. And this is 40 minutes into the goddamn movie. And we still got an hour left. Yeah, go watch Bunker if you want. You could wait for streaming. I mean, support the artist, but it's like this movie, to me, Bunker is a load of bunk. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to get into spoilers. Spoilers will not take very long, just so you know. But anyway, that's your warning. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so it turns out that the German guy is actually housing this creature that's the Angel of War. It thrives on conflict and needs a human host and everything and all that. And there's these weird bugs that were crawling in this one guy and all this stuff. And it's infecting everybody, infecting in their ears and nesting. Testing, attention please. One guy tries to carve bugs out of himself and then ends up dying. He vomits shit up. Another guy, Segura, Eddie Ramos. That's about the only name that I really was able to commit to memory. He's kind of the hero, but they really made him seem like an idiot. Basically, the general ends up going goddamn crazy because when you want to, have some isolation time, call the general and save some time. And again, indie budget aside, I can forgive low budget, but this was just like, did we shoot this at a tourist attraction? Like, what the shit? If you can't... Knock the scope of your movie down if you don't have the money for it, because otherwise it just makes everything look cheap. And it made the Bunker look cheap, the way they crawled out. There were models blowing up in a 2023 movie. If you can't... Jesus! Yeah, I got a little bit upset. Because I'm just like, what is this? And the sad thing is, it still might not be the worst thing I saw this year. It might not be The Devil's Conspiracy. Or The Devil Conspiracy, whatever the hell the goddamn thing was. What ends up happening is basically people get picked off. There's these bodies buried all over the goddamn place. This weird infection thing with all these roots. 4 roots, 1 tree. Wait, that's the schism. If you're a wrestling fan, you'll get it. And then it turns out, wait a second. Luke, this German guy, is actually housing this whole thing. Oh, wow. No one except everybody could have seen that coming. They left him strung up, the German soldiers did, and left, and barricaded the goddamn thing. And if only these idiots hadn't done anything, then the thing might have been bombed back to the Stone Age, and you might not have had to worry about it. Then we wouldn't have had a movie, which probably would have been preferable. Because the more I think about it, the more pissed off I get at Bunker, because it wasted any potential in a sea of bullshit. So yeah, one guy ends up, Baker, I believe was the guy's name, there's a few people left. He ends up getting his hand blown off trying to stop a grenade being used because another guy just goes absolutely insane because everybody's going insane because isolation. And then they find a way out. He gets out. This Segura guy, Eddie Ramos, whatever, goes. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. But he says, oh, he's being saved. I'm going to go back down there and I'm going to bomb this. There are all these wires and all this shit and all these explosive things. And he ends up attaching these wires because this weird creature is coming at him that kind of looks like if Groot was hashed out. Again, makeup effects aren't all that bad. Creature effects are fine. But Jesus Christ, let's just have this and oh, boom. He blows himself up and that's it. Literally, this looks like it could have just taken place on, like, not even a soundstage, just someone's backyard. I'm actually astonished. I'm astonished at the incompetence that was on display in this. Despite the good things I said, this was an incompetent mess. This was fucking terrible. Bunker was terrible. I'm sorry to anybody that was in this, that had a hand in it. I'm glad you guys got to make the movie, but as a movie fan, this was shit. This was dog shit. Go watch it if it's at a theater near you, or wait for streaming. Support the artist. Even if this movie isn't that good, that doesn't mean other movies that he makes won't be very good. Anyway, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.